do?
Grim. That's how it looks.
I'll take Grim right now.
I am the Grim Reaper.
Bit grim.
The bosses are good.
And make it grim.
A grim tale indeed.
It's a little grim.
Meaningless and grim.
Mr. Grim!
Mr. Grim.
Pretty grim, huh?
Things look grim.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Tonight, a little late and a little unhurried, we are playing the Electric State, and this might be a 2-weekend game. Well, we'll see how things go. So this is Simon Stalenhag's art storybook games. Free League's done several of them. I think you can order them in the UK through Modifius. You know, it's got that retro techno, alternate timeline sort of history, weird nostalgia sort of thing going for it. Similar but distinct to the whole kind of glut of 80s nostalgia stuff that we've had of late. So the world runs pretty much like our world up until about 1975. That's the point of departure between our world and their world. Let me see if I can find the summary on it and read you in a little bit. So yeah, the point of divergence between this world and our world was the 1970s. So around the time of the big 70s economic crises, the rise of the civil rights movement, the Watergate scandal, and the withdrawal from Vietnam, even though technology had already started to diverge at this point. When Ford announced that Nixon was to be pardoned for his involvement in the Watergate scandal, there were nationwide protests. Someone tried to shoot the president, but only managed to wound him. Someone was arrested and charged with it, though that's got conspiracy theories and so on around it. And basically, that's what caused US culture to fracture in this timeline for whatever reason. I don't think it necessarily makes a huge amount of sense given my knowledge of US history, but I'm willing to be wrong, and they needed an excuse for things to change. So yeah, things got worse and worse and worse, and basically broke down into Civil War II in the 70s. I guess the economic stress kind of makes sense and so on. So at roughly the same time, or leading up to this, there's a couple of big technological differences similar to the other of Stalenhag's works, most particularly neuronics. So imagine if the promise of VR in the 90s had actually borne fruit, but using a different technological basis. So it's not so much big, heavy goggles that are projecting images onto your brain. It's more like controlled hallucinations, but they were also used to control powerful drone technology, big clunky robots, war machines, that sort of thing. The Civil War was fought mostly using drones, and that was meant to lessen the amount of casualties, but it didn't really work out that way. Because people are people suck, and also sending a whole bunch of semi-autonomous armed robots into civilian areas isn't a terribly good idea at the best of times, something we're probably learning for real right now. So in the wake of the Civil War, and it's been now, Second Civil War, it's been 20 years now since that started, the US has been fractured, broken up, balkanized into a bunch of different nations. The game is set within Pacifica, which is mostly California, with a few bits here and there. But everything to the east of the Sierra Nevadas pretty much is called the Black Welt Exclusion Zone, and there's still a lot of dangerous chemical weapons, still operating drones and other nastiness going on. The other major thing that is going on is that the advancements in these neuronics VR headsets and things have started to affect people in quite a horrible way. Using neuronics is addictive. It's realer than real. It's kind of better than life from Red Dwarf without the comedy in a lot of ways, and it can be beguiling, and a lot of people choose to stay in that dreamlike virtual world rather than deal with the kind of broken down, slow rolling post-apocalypse that everyone else is dealing with. I'll bring our players in and I'll set the scene a bit for you. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, dude.
Knocking stuff flying. All right. So, our characters, apart from Mick, are part of the same family. The patriarch of the family, who is not being played by a player tonight, yet at least, is Jack Carson. He was a cop in the Northern Union, which was Oregon and Washington mostly, and a few other bits up north. It's a very weak and kind of on the skids democracy, but has good relations with Pacifica to the south. And Jack has family down in the south of Pacifica. And so with his job winding up and so on within the Northern Union, he decided to up sticks, take his family, anyone else who wanted to come along, really, and head on south. But given the sort of state of the world at the moment, that means a very, very long road trip. Air travel is going to be kind of out of his price range. Anyway, Jack and Ryan's girlfriend slash fiance slash it's like complicated, man. They've gone on ahead in another car because Jack didn't want Ryan and Taylor in the same car because drama and canoodling you can't be having with that.
God damn, Dad.
So he's gone on ahead with Taylor in one car, leaving you guys to follow along in another car, laden down with all the kind of trappings and nonsense that people carry with them when they go from one place to another. You're just missing, Granny on a rocking chair on the ceiling of the car, roof of the car. So yeah, you're in for a very, very long road trip. I'm guessing you've had time to read the profiles of your characters now, so would you care to introduce them? Starting with Mick. Now, Mick is a hitchhiker you picked up recently, which may or may not have been a good idea.
Correct. I'm a grubby, lean, wiry man, sunburnt, a lot of scars on my hands and arms. Look like a younger William Dafoe. He's drawn, he's a little haunted. He goes through the motions of being sociable and friendly, just not quite sure how. He wears hard-wearing denim, almost like a biker, but without gang colors or patches. He wears a threadbare hoodie under a denim vest and prefers to have his hood up. He's used to being by himself and taking care of himself. Emotionally, he seems detached and kind of checked out. Doesn't like to talk about himself, preferring to redirect talk to about others. His motorbike was written off, so he began hitching, which is when he was picked up by these guys. He's just tagging along until he can find a town in good enough shape for him to pawn his stuff and hopefully get a new bike. Yeah.
So not the best company, but at least he's not talking your ear off about radio signals in his teeth, or you never not quite know what's going to happen when you pick someone up. All right. Do you want to introduce Mike to us?
You want to see something really scary?
I was just looking at that recently.
Yeah, so picking up Mick was definitely Mike's idea. I think a lot of people wouldn't pull over and pick up a hitchhiker, but making a deposit in the karmic bank is a withdrawal, a cash in that one is going to want, especially in egotistical times like these. Mike is a new ager, a hippie, someone that saw the state of the world and decided looking inward and improving oneself was the best path towards Age of Aquarius, a utopian time. He would he loves the opportunity to bond with his nephew, teach him a few things, whatever nonsense the officer's filling in Ryan's head, he can offer an alternative opinion. He dabbles in certain more natural mind-altering substances. The whole net runner thing doesn't appeal the way that maybe a nice bag of mushrooms and some Pink Floyd would.
Cool. All right, and lastly, Ryan.
So Ryan is eerily pale, except for where he's covered in obtrusive acne vulgaris, which almost willfully he picks at, probably just to annoy his father. He dresses in, again, willfully scruffy, unwashed. What's his t-shirt? Misfits or Cramps or something like that on his t-shirt. And a tatty pair of jeans and work boots, although he's never done a day's work in his life. He affects this sort of working man. He, at the beginning of the trip, he seemed to be very much into, or at least to be warming towards Uncle Mike, who he calls Michael all the time, possibly as his way of just needling him a little bit, of not being as informal as he might like. But with the arrival of Mick, this has changed somewhat, and Ryan seems particularly interested in hearing about Mick's life, and especially the grimier, grubbier, possibly more criminal elements of it. Hey! Do you ever see a dead guy? You ever pass out? You ever pass out in a flop house? Constant badgering. When as I'm sure does happen, Mick tells him to go fuck himself. Ryan will sulk in the back of the car, doing his second pastime, which is pretending he's a drummer by hitting his fingers on any particular surface. And so that is probably how he's passing his time at the moment.
Okay. Quick explanation of the rule system, very, very quickly. So if you look on the left-hand side of your character sheets, you'll see that you have strength, agility, wits, and empathy, which are rated a number of dice, typically 2 to 6. So when you're called upon to do something, you will take the requisite number of dice. Sometimes that's modified by your talents, which you'll find just down below there. Some of those have other effects like extra hit points and things. So, for example, if Mike was to attempt to, I don't know, open a stuck pickle jar, all right? He's got a strength of 4. That's a pretty easy task, but can be tricky. So we'll give you 1 bonus dice. So you would be rolling 5 dice. If any of those come up as 6, that's a success. If you get multiple 6s, that's multiple successes. Now, there are wrinkles in all of that. So if you fail a task, so you don't roll any 6s on your dice, or you don't get enough 6s because you might want to do better, you can choose to push the roll. So, and you can re-roll any number of dice from the pool. You're supposed to use dice of a different color, but yeah, that's fine, whatever. But these are then push dice. So you roll those, and now any sixes count as extra successes, but any ones are now bad. So a 1 will cause you to lose hope, and hope is an important sort of statistic for tracking your sort of mental well-being. If your hope ever drops to 0, then you have a breakdown and you might suffer mental trauma. Hope also interacts with bliss. If you use neuronics, the VR headset stuff, to interface with machines or drones or whatever, that can cause you to accumulate bliss. And if your bliss ever equals or exceeds your hope, you can't force yourself to come out of the virtual world, and someone else has to do it to you, and that can cause you mental trauma, to be ripped out of the virtual world, which is again bad. Equipment can give you dice as well. So maybe you had a pickle jar opener device, for which I would give you maybe another 2 bonus dice. But those are specifically equipment dice, but they haven't really thought about that in this, so you don't get dice of a different color for that. But if you can somehow differentiate, then you can also push equipment dice. But if they fail, if they get a 1, then the equipment breaks down slightly in some way, and its bonus goes down until it's busted. And then you'll have to spend time maintaining it or repairing it to get it to work again. Other than that, all very simple. Possibly a little bit too broad, I think, with the stats. There isn't really a robust skill system, so I'll be having to make a lot of judgment calls based on your character archetype and background and so on, as to whether I give you any bonus dice or take some away to make it more difficult. The only other thing we really need to explain is tension. Tension is a sort of level of emotional investment and reaction you have to the other people in the group, and it gives you a bonus die when dealing with people in that group, other people in the group in any way. So tension can ramp up, which gives you bonus dice, but it does mean you're more sort of emotional and reactive around them. But if you work to soothe the tension between you, then you can trade tension for hope to get hope back, and you can get hope back for doing other positive things and so on. Any questions?
Can you? Is there a mechanic for acquiring tension where you don't have it to begin with?
Let me just check. I think there is. I think you have the option of raising or lowering tension through role-playing scenes. Let's see. Yeah, so tension ranges from 0 to 2. 0 is no tension. 1 is suppressed or contained irritation, love, interest, or other feelings and thoughts. 2 tension is uncontained, strong emotions such as rage, love, or fear. Tension's asymmetrical, so it doesn't have to be two-way. Reducing tension. Yeah, talk things out and role-playing, or get into a confrontation where you use your tension against the other person. Tension scores may also be increased or lowered at any time, depending what happens in the game. You can even change tension between sessions. So, yeah, if you want to increase your tension, then you can role-play winding someone up or why you've become pissed off at them or impressed by them or whatever it is. Tension can be positive and negative. So, but it's generally only 1 point per incident.
All right, cool.
All
right.
Got a question for you here. Can you
Yep.
give examples of the use of each attribute other than the obvious strength, pick stuff up, agility, don't get hit?
So strength is also your sort of general physical health and condition. So, yeah, if you get bit by a rattlesnake and you're trying to resist the poison, that would be strength as well. And all the usual obvious stuff of strength, busting down doors, carrying heavy objects, lifting things off someone, stuff like that. Agility is hand-eye coordination, physical speed, just very, very broadly sort of bodily awareness of yourself and where your limbs are at any given point. Wit is a sort of combination cunning, intelligence, awareness, reactivity, all of those sorts of things. And empathy is your ability to connect with, intimidate, your emotional intelligence. Health is hit points. Weapons typically do like 2 points of damage for a pistol. Extra successes add on to that. Talents typically give you a +2 bonus to something. So Jack the cop, for example, he has 2 talents, one of which gives him an extra couple of hit points, and one of which gives him 2 extra dice when he's investigating, acting like a sleuth and looking for stuff. You've got gear on your sheets. You've got cash on your sheets. If you have a Neurocaster, that's listed there as well. But you also have sort of communal car stuff, which I did note down somewhere. There we go. Yes, there's like a first aid kit. A basic toolkit. There's a spare handgun in the glove box if no one has one personally, because you got to look after yourself. All right. Anything else before we get going? I just heard some message alerts come up, so I'll just check if anyone's.
Well, I'm going to say that coming into this scene as we are traveling down the road, perhaps some tension has arisen between myself and Ryan.
Yes. So, Ryan is impressed by you and wants to know more about you.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't mean he's not an annoying kid.
Yeah, and you're probably very annoyed because you don't like to talk about yourself. So you can, if you want to, you may raise your tension with each other by 1.
All right.
All right. So it has been a long and storied journey already. You're not that far off from where you need to get to. There is a nice big map of Pacifica, but I don't think it quite takes in all of Pacifica, which is a little bit annoying. But the bit on the map runs from a bit north of San Francisco all the way down to LA, and Pacifica itself actually stretches on a bit further than that, to give you some idea. All right, so yeah, you've been traveling a long time. You've probably got a CB radio in the car for keeping in touch with the others. As you've been following the path down the edge of the Sierra Nevada mountains, the signal has gotten a bit crackly and confused, but you've managed to check in most of the time. You did stop to pick up Mick, who was hitching down the side of the road, probably smoking very, very poorly constructed roll-ups.
Oh, no, I've got 2 packs of menthols, man.
Oh, okay.
I'm stressed right now. I was smoking a real one at the time.
It is the 90s. It's about 97. So, yeah, menthols. Those were still a thing. Okay. Yeah, so the place you're aiming for is still a bit further south, but you're coming to sort of the end of the Sierra Nevadas. The car, what should we have it be? A Buick Roadmaster with the wood paneling effect down the side. Yeah, it's been a pretty solid car the entire time you've been traveling, but it is a bit worse for wear now. You're running on the spare. The engine is overheating quite often, so you're going to need to make a pit stop. which is also an opportunity for Mick to try and find out the lay of the land around here. So you are...
Well, if we find a spot where we can get some water, I can take a look at the engine here and see what is overheating, what's causing it.
Far out, man.
All right. Okay. So who's driving? Mike? Probably
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Right. Ryan probably can drive, but it's probably not a good idea to let him. All right. So yeah, you're rolling down the road. The road's seen better days, definitely. It's not very well maintained anymore. The fact that it's as intact as it is probably more to do with relatively little traffic out here these days, more than anything else. You're occasionally having to weave around a nasty pothole or a big crack in the tarmac. But you do roll past a sign that says Medea Gate Gas Station, 4 miles.
Ooh.
And unlike a lot of the signs that you've rolled past during this trip, it's not completely faded or overgrown or covered in mud and dust. Someone has taken the effort to clean the sign off.
Ooh, excellent day. We might be in luck, friends. A little way up ahead, our prayers have been answered.
The universe is giving back to you already.
Notice that, Ryan? We picked up a wayward soul, and the universe provides. You paying attention, Rye Guy?
Yeah, Michael, I get it. But put in a word with the universe and see if this place is going to have some batteries. Okay, he says, staring sulkily at the entirely dead Discman on the seat next to him.
No, you don't get to ask things of the universe. You just get to accept and thank what it does.
Do you always talk like that?
Well, for what's on your mind, Mick?
Gas station. What's on your mind?
Well, great minds think alike.
Yeah, a Pacifica Highway Patrol car clearly just sort of zooms past you down the road at high speed with its sirens wailing. Don't think it's got anything to do with you.
Oh, you can hear that, huh? Wrong microphone. I've got a real directional one that I usually use. Yeah, welcome to Bushwick, man. This is where I live. Correct. This is all day, every day. This is what my life is like outside my window.
It's lively. All right. So, just to kind of show roles working in the wild, can Mike make a roll to nurse the car as far as the gas station? So, that's going to be wits, actually. It's all to do with intelligent driving. And I'll give you 2 bonus dice. So you roll that many 6-sided dice.
All right.
So I have a mechanic skill, talent. Can I assist him with a gruff word of advice as he's trying to do this?
Yeah, you can backseat drive, which will provide Mike with an additional bonus dice.
All right. Yeah, because I didn't get any 6s.
Okay, so you can get a bonus dice from Mick, and I'll give you a bonus dice for the car itself as well.
Okay. So that would be 2d6. We got a 1 and a 3.
Okay, well, 1s don't matter unless you want to push the roll. Do you want to push the roll? You can re-roll as many dice as you want.
I think we'll see how it goes. It's a bumpy road.
Okay, yeah, the temperature's kind of redlining a bit, probably because you're having to go uphill quite a ways. You just manage to get it as far as the gas station and kind of roll it in there on neutral before it grinds to a halt.
Can't tell you how many times I've showed up to some place just like this.
Well, you see that, Ryan? You see that, Ryan guy? Have faith in what the universe gives you.
The heated engine begins to ping and cool, and outside the car is the Medea Gate gas station. The gas station squats just off the 2-lane. The road here is cracked and bleached. This is the kind of place you only stop if you kind of have to, really. But there aren't a lot of choices these days. A faded chevron sign leans slightly, its edges torn ragged by the winds. In the distance, the Sierra Nevadas rise in hazy blues and greys, peaks still clinging to the last dusting of winter. The air here carries a sort of thin coolness from the mountains, but it's not enough to wash away the scent of overly hot metal from the car and old oil. The gas pumps look like they work, but no one is coming out to do it for you. The numbers on the sign flicker as if the pumps themselves aren't particularly sure of the price that they're demanding. It's a little steep, but then everything is, and at least they have fuel. It wouldn't be a bad idea to top up here. Behind the pumps is the actual sort of garage market / store. It's a low-slung box, all sun-faded stucco and peeling letters. It doesn't look especially welcoming, but there is an open sign.
Maybe.
Well, open means take a look. So I mosey on in.
Okay. What are you other two doing?
Yeah, pop. Well, yeah, I'll pop my head inside too.
Okay. So, and Ryan as well?
Ryan unfolds his kind of stick insect-like form through the window. He doesn't even bother opening the door. He just slides out of the back window. He's following Mick like a puppy dog.
Okay. The doorbell jingles weakly as you step inside. There's no AC, but fortunately it's not summer. And the occasional sort of breath of cooler air seeps in when the door opens and shuts. So when you came in, there's a old 70s era CRT portable TV bolted into the corner next to the counter with the Pacifica News Network blaring through static, droning on about trade wars and offshore disputes and news that feels as far away as the moon to you guys. The screen flickers a crawl of headlines rolling beneath the vacant-eyed news anchor. There's a few bits of folk art. You passed by a few coming in as well. Sculptures welded together from rusted drone chassis and license plates curled at the edges to form sort of wind chimes. Old bits of circuitry from inside these things catching the light. Inside, the shelves within the market hold the barest essentials and a whole bunch of stuff that no one really needs. There's cheap sunglasses in cracked plastic, baseball caps, a rack of magazines, well thumbed at the edges. Some of them like a couple of months out of date. Time, Popular Mechanics, Hustler, a copy of Wired shouting at you from its cover about the best places to neurocast for cybersex. Near the register, there's a couple of gumball machines standing like relics. The, at one point, very, very bright and garish gumballs inside are now faded to a sort of pastel ghost of what they once were. You don't think it's probably a good idea to have any. There's a cooler humming in protest, shaking slightly. If this was Tremors, you'd be in trouble. It's struggling to keep drinks from warming past tepid. And when you take a peek inside, there's a few cans of Vignette wine soda and California Dreamin' flavor Shasta. These are the rejected remnants, the last sodas to be adopted. Over by the counter, a single hot dog turns under a heat lamp in lonely rotations. And behind the counter is an extremely disinterested guy. His name tag says Rick on it. And he's behind the inch-thick and graffiti-scarred plexiglass. Arms folded, eyes half-lidded, half asleep. He kind of registers your existence, but that's about it.
A lifetime of stealing from 7-Elevens leads me to kind of go onto autopilot here, and I'm checking for cameras. And want to see if I can judge from the clerk's level of awareness, how much attention he's paying to us, his demeanor, what his likely reaction is to me getting caught stealing stuff.
Okay, make a wits roll to look for cameras.
Okay. No ones, but no sixes either. But I will push that just so we can see.
Okay, ones only matter when you're pushing.
Yeah. So you just pick up the whole lot again, right?
Yeah.
And pushed, I got 1 6. 3,
Okay.
2, 5.
Yeah, there's a pretty old camera up in one corner of the store. It's got terrible coverage. So long as there is a cooler or a rack between you and the camera, nobody monitoring that will see anything.
Okay, so it's just habit. It doesn't matter what the object is that I'm going to steal, as long as it's just a sort of, what is it? It says here, smash the system is my dream. So there you go. A fairly typical mid-90s teenager's idea of smashing the system, stealing from a fucking garage.
Damn the man, save the empire.
By complete coincidence and inconvenient to Ryan, his uncle comes up behind him and says, "Rad guy, can I talk to you for a sec? What are you doing? You want to buy some chips?" It doesn't matter. I saw you asking questions to that Mick guy, and I just want you to know I catch a very negative, very dark energy from him. And I don't want you to get sucked into that.
Energy, Michael? Again, the use of the full name with the slight sense of a wheedling over formality. I don't know what you mean, Michael. He seems like a swell guy.
Yeah, my kind of squints at Mick, from across the thing. I get a sense for energies, or as a very dark, very negative one. That's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with the man. I'm just looking out for you.
Yeah, as he's making that squint and looking, what's happening is Mick is casing out behind the counter looking for the lockbox or the safe.
Something about that guy just seems a little unhealed.
So behind the counter, there's all the things that you need to show ID to buy, basically. So that's where the hard liquor and the cigarettes and the legalized pot, because that happened earlier in Pacifica. Yeah, that's all back there. Not that there's very much of it, not a very wide choice. There's a couple of what look like old hotel safes. The small lockbox, stacked one atop another. And there's a post-it note stuck to the front of them that says "Pick up Thursday."
What is today?
Today
Wednesday by chance?
Tuesday.
I'll look around if they have any over-the-counter medicine, maybe some Tylenol or Baccatracin.
One thing they're not short of is various trucker pills, caffeine and even
boner pills,
even more esoteric stuff. So if you want barely legal uppers, then you can get those no problem. And near as damn it, amphetamines. There's some basic painkillers as well.
I'll
What is the state of the economy such that barter and trade may be a viable way to resupply?
Generally not when dealing with stores, but otherwise, if you find someone selling, I don't know, corn on the off ramp or something,
Right.
barter would be fine.
Okay. So as we're two of us are casing out the joint, and the other one's being a pep talk. What's Rick doing?
Yeah, he's barely paying attention to you while you talk to each other. Then he gets up from his seat, opens up a door in the side of the sort of screened off section, comes around the front, picks up the well-thumbed copy of Hustler, tucks it under his arm, and heads towards the staff toilet.
As soon as the door closes, I go behind and pick the lock.
Okay. Let's see.
I mean, how old is he? So I know whether I've got 20 minutes or 35 minutes.
You've got time. So let's see. Agility with 2 extra dice for being a thief.
Yep. 1-6.
Okay, that's enough. All right. So you pull a few little pointy bits of metal out of your pocket, fiddle away with the lock. It's not a serious lock. They're not trying to keep you out in any sort of serious fashion whatsoever. So you get the lock open and you can get in behind the counter.
Noticing this, Ryan comes over and he's sort of watching him with this sort of eagerness, this sort of radiating this kind of egging him on until the moment when he succeeds, at which point this suddenly becomes real. At the moment up until that point it was just playing. Now he's really gone and done it, and Ryan kind of backs away, looks nervously across at Michael.
Mick gives him the side eye, and tosses him a menthol cigarette, and says, "Welcome to manhood."
Mike's distracted. He's thumbing through a Playboy himself. Maybe when Ryan approaches, he says, "Ryan, you know this isn't what women really look like. Unbelievable. And that's a good thing."
Right. So what's Mick doing behind the counter?
Cleaning out the safe.
But not the register?
Well, I got to open the safe first and then the register.
Okay.
The safe takes more time, and there's probably more money in it, so I'm going to do that first.
All right, make a roll to pick the first safe.
1-6.
Okay, takes a little bit more effort, but not too much. You manage to open it up. You swing it open. Inside there.
Oh, I don't even care. I just clean whatever's in there, goes into my bag. I go to the next one.
Okay. Make a roll for the next one. -1 dice because your times are pressing now.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm going to have to push it. That's what it's called, right? Pushing?
Yep.
Oh, so I've got a 6 and a 1.
Okay. So you succeeded, but you lose 1 hope. So your hope goes down from 2 to 1. You get really sort of angry at yourself that this one is so much more difficult and it shouldn't be. It's like it's the exact same lock. This should be easy, but the time pressure is making you antsy. Yeah, you managed to get it open just without even looking, scoop the shit out from inside, close the two of them, and quickly hustle back out of there as Rick emerges from the toilet and tucks the hustler back into the rack. He fumbles with his keys, lets himself in behind the counter. So, you guys gonna buy anything?
Yes, my good man. I'll take this. I'll buy some painkillers over the counter.
Do you have any antifreeze? Do you have any coolant for an automobile?
Yeah, I can help you out there. Got some water, I guess, if you want. If you need to top off the radiator or whatever.
All right. Well, I'm going to go just out to the car, pop the hood, start looking around. Put my bag in the car.
Okay. Yeah, with all the stuff that you haven't even looked at yet.
Correct.
Rick's like, do you want any fuel or anything? Yeah, this readout doesn't say you've put any in yet.
Yeah, we'll get some gas.
Okay. Anything else?
We'll also get the Playboy magazine.
To keep it out of the hands of kids. You know, it's very responsible.
Ryan, look at this one. This one looks like this girl named Maria I met down south of the border. She was your aunt legally for 2 weeks.
Uh-huh. And then what happened?
I woke up in a bathtub, no money, no documents, and possibly
No kidney.
Yeah, well, definitely had to cut down on drinking after that one.
If you're curious, Playboy's Playmate of the Month for this year was Jennifer Miriam.
All right. So for those of you playing at home, you know where your goobers go.
Okay, that's who she is. I was curious. This is an actress as well. That's the thing you don't see so much anymore.
Aren't they all?
Oh, well, as in, you know, lots of people used to go from working in Playboy or other magazines to doing legitimate cinema.
So Ryan sort of shuffles over and he can't. He's absolutely convinced that any minute now, this cashier is going to turn around and notice that the safes have been tampered with, even though there's objectively no evidence that is the case. But he's kind of staring at them. He can't help himself, and then feebly sort of, two packs of double A's, mister.
He rummages around, finds some batteries for you, rings it all up. You know, you top off the tank and whatever. So Mick was looking at the car, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a sec.
Oh man, all those dice.
Can you make a wits mechanic roll, please? So that's 4 dice.
Yep. I was really hoping that was going to be like an agility. You know, you got to be very.
Oh, sometimes it will be.
I know when the actual repair part, but the diagnosis makes sense. Oh, got one.
Okay.
I got 1 6.
Yeah, it just seems overheated to you. Yeah, topping off the water, giving it time to cool. You know, by the time you got it all fueled up again, looks like the road's leveling off. You shouldn't have too much more problem.
Gotcha. I've had this kind of car before, man. Those uphills. I had a Renault once. It could only go from first to fourth gear.
At least it's not a Ford. Found on road dead.
Buy a Ford, Nixon did.
All right. Is there
I
anything
remember
else?
I remember those stickers and pins as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, the buy a Ford, Nixon did. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do anything else while you're at the gas station?
You'd mentioned some threadbareness to tires.
Yes.
Take a look at those and kind of get a feel for how much more time on them, how many more miles, and look around and see are there any tires for sale.
So your tires should be okay, but you've already had to swap the spare in for one of the others, so it's not quite sitting right because the spare's not exactly the right size. The tread on the 3 tires that weren't the spare is pretty ground down. Yeah, if a cop wanted to pull you over and have like a pretext to give you some shit, then he would have reason from looking at the tires.
Okay.
But they should get you the rest of the way.
And then, is there a facilities available for the customers, or do I need to walk around the back of the spot to squat and crap?
There is an old style sort of lean-to shit house attached to the back, walled with corrugated iron.
Okay, so I pick up my bag, I go to the shitter, and I'm going to investigate my haul. Be right back.
All right. So you find that you've snaffled about $110 in change and small denomination notes. 3 small plastic packets of unidentified white crystalline powder. And a bunch of receipts.
Okay, I take all the receipts, crumple them up, throw them into the shitter. And what I'm going to do is separate out 20% and then split that in half and have it ready so that when I get back to the car, we get moving. I'm going to initiate my little crew here into the joys of the spoils of the other side of the tracks.
Okay, well, you got the car fueled up, the engine's cooled down. Yeah, you can all pile back in. Ryan's just happy to have more batteries for his Discman.
All right. Excelsior, away we go.
So you're going to hand out the cash now, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to, all right. Welcome to Adulthood Part 2. Next time, be a better lookout. And I hand Ryan his little 10%. Those like $10. And I look at, man, who's the dude that you're reminding me of? The actor from Texas was in Dazed and Confused.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I'm getting like this Matthew McConaughey vibe from you. So
I was halfway between Ron Perlman and Tom Waits, but okay.
So no, that's me. I have that. He's the all right, pretty boy. Next time, you need to let me know when you hear the door opening. And I give Mike $10.
Mike's brow for a whoa. Did you rob that guy? That is some low vibrational shit, man. We are on a risky journey. We do not need that kind of karmic black cloud following us. You keep your $10. That's low vibrational money.
I take one of those little packets and pull it out of my pocket a little bit and give it a little jingle, a little shake, and put it back down.
Well, all right, man. But that's a debt that we are in to the karmic bank, and I don't think we're going to like to pay it down the road.
And as you finish saying your piece, you go to start the car again, and it doesn't. It makes sounds roughly equivalent to the Millennium Falcon failing to jump to light speed.
Slowly turn to Ryan. You paying attention, right, guy? That's the universe.
Ryan, who just sort of took the money from Mick, slack-jawed in amazement at his, grown-up rebelliousness, then sort of watched the exchange between Mick and Michael, and he's still sort of his fingers running up and down the edges of this $10 bill. He hasn't put it in his pocket. He can't quite bring himself to put it in his pocket. When Michael sort of turns around and points out the karmic resonances that are going on here, he suddenly looks down at this $10 bill as if he's holding a rattlesnake.
And I look at Mike and say, pull the choke out and try it again. You're not fooling anybody.
I'm not fooling no one. I do it again so he can see. Car's busted.
Okay. The engine turns over for like a couple of seconds and then dies again with a similar sound.
Pop the hood. I get out and take a look.
So, yeah, you can't
see all those dice rolling before I started messing with the car. I knew was not good.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just looked at it. It doesn't. You can't. Nothing's changed. Like a jackrabbit.
No. All kinds of things have changed. I'm going to start. I've got a toolkit, man. I'm going to start tapping on stuff. I'm going to start looking at fuel pumps. I'm going to start looking at, listening to what is the problem here? Is this a fuel problem, an electrical problem? Is this the starter motor? Oh, that's the worst.
So this is still a diagnosis thing. So that's 2. You've got the mechanic skill, which is another 2, and you've got a specific car repair kit in the car, though it's not yours. So that's another 2 dice. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 dice.
All right. So 3 sixes, 3 successes out of 6.
All right. Yeah. So you start tracing through all the possible problems that it could be. Rick comes ambling out from inside. Car trouble?
What do you think?
Ryan has clambered out and is kind of hanging on Mick, sort of, you can fix it, right? You can fix it. Like the Renault, the Renault you had, you can fix it, right? But when Rick turns up, he Ryan whirls on him and says, yeah, no problem, man. We don't need you. Patting Mick on the shoulder, assuring him.
I just sell like candy and cigarettes and petrol and shit. I don't know fuck all about cars. But there's some guys still living in Medea itself. If you want to walk on down there or push your car down there, they might be able to help you out. They've probably got some spares or something.
Mike walks up to Rick, puts his hand on Rick's shoulder, tucks a little $10 bill into his pocket, says, "Thanks for being a friend, brother."
That's cool. No, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, just take that track down a ways. It's all like fucked here, but it turns back into a two-way, take you right down into the town. Most of it's kind of like not people, but if you just follow right to the center of town, to the main crossing, you'll find some people, and they should be able to sort you out.
Not people.
Well, most of it's just like empty, abandoned. You know,
Oh,
people went to
not-
the city.
Gotcha. I thought
Yeah.
you meant things were there that weren't people.
Nah, man, nah. No, that's further east. You gotta stay away from that shit. Trust me.
What's further east?
The Blackwell, all the weird shit that went down during the Civil War is still out there. You know, you hear stories.
Like what?
Like massive drones still stamping around, killing shit. Weird diseases, radiation.
What's the weirdest shit you've ever seen?
The weirdest shit I've ever seen? A couple of drones came stomping down out the mountains a while back. They were all covered in this like metal cancer, like weird growths of like rubber and metal and shit. My dad fought right in the Civil War. He was a drone operator. But I told him what I saw, and he said those weren't autonomous. They were piloted drones, but there's no way that shit was being piloted. So, yeah, that's the weirdest thing I ever saw.
Well, I think we best head any other direction then. And it sounds like we're being time to follow the universe's thread down into town, see if we can get some car help.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to you. If you need a push or something, let me know. And he heads on back into the garage.
But before he goes, Mike's gonna look into Ryan's eyes and say, "Ryan, you want to give a thank you to our friend Rick?"
Ryan looks across at Mick for a moment, as if he's trying to gauge what his reaction will be based on how Mick's looking. What is Mick looking at? Is he watching Rick's retreat with what? I need a sense of what Mick's thinking here.
He's not impressed with Rick, and he is still trying to diagnose what's wrong with the car.
Yeah, and so that determines Ryan's reaction to Michael's suggestion, and turns around, looks at Michael, looks at Rick's retreating, shambling, or sort of wearing his kind of oil-streaked overalls or whatever he's wearing. Screw that, man. And then sort of leans over the engine as if he's actually going to be useful to Mick.
All right. Suit yourself.
All right. Mick is abundantly sure that there is nothing wrong with the car, having checked over everything. But you've tried turning it over yourself, and it still doesn't work.
I smell the gas tank. Actually, what I do is I get something to squirt a little gas from the gas dispenser. And
yeah, it seems all right to you. Looks like it should work. It's not like high test or anything, but it should make
right. It's not watered down. It's not contaminated with things that are instantly clunking up the carburetor or things like that.
No, it's not accidental diesel, which is always fun.
Oh no, I've never done that.
All right, F1 crew. We heading into town with Uncle Mike, or are we staying up here?
All right. Well, I get behind the wheel, say, all right, guys, start pushing.
We'll start pushing.
Okay, who is the strongest out of you two?
I got
Mike
a
has the
4.
strength. Oh, you're surprisingly strong for a.
That kid can kick the shit out of everybody in this party, just so you know.
So you and Mike are about as strong as each other. So pick one of you to push, and the other one can lend a bonus dice.
Yeah, but
My back.
Ryan is also lazy and deceitful and a shirker.
And has a mouthful of microwave burrito.
Yeah. And so there you go. Because I'm not used to having a decent microphone. I usually get away with it. And so while giving every giving every impression of helping, yes, actually, he's really just leaning against it.
Okay.
All right.
So
So
Mike roll strength with a bonus dice, please.
Those yoga muscles will be put to use. Strength with 1 bonus. All right. Let's see. So strength is 4. Oh, we got 2 6s.
Nice. Okay. So with Mick steering, with you two helping, some more than others, you get the car slowly rolling down the street. This road that turns off does go downhill a bit. You're headed down into a little bit of a valley, so it does get a lot easier to the point where Mick has to pump the brakes occasionally.
Yeah, I ride the brakes, so we don't get out of control.
Yeah. Still, it's quite a long-winded and sweaty effort to get to the town of Medea. Where did I put my description of it? Okay. Medea is still on the map, but the world moved on. Medea probably used to have a couple of thousand people living here. Farm workers, families, commuters, maybe. People who wanted a little bit of remoteness from the city. Now you reckon it maybe has 50 people, give or take. It stretches out across a shallow valley like a ghost that never quite faded. Single lane roads crisscrossing between the houses, cracking and filled with potholes. Empty houses with boards nailed over glassless windows. Some places have sagging porches, half-heartedly repaired. But most of the buildings don't look like anyone's taken care of them in quite some time. Here and there, occasionally, you see a little fast-moving thing in the sky, presumably a small commercial scavenger drone or something. Black carapaces flickering in the light as they glide over the houses. Some of them are carrying bits of scrap, twisted aluminium siding, chunk of an old billboard, maybe something more valuable. Someone somewhere is still buying things, so someone here is still collecting things. The only things in the town...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. The only things that seem really, truly well-maintained in the house are a couple of Sontra Neurocaster terminals, like public phone booths, but for VR, on the main crossroads of the town. Those stand in little pools of flickering neon. The glass is relatively clean. The cables seem intact, though some of them have been mummified in electrician's tape. They still hum softly, always on. A few people are kind of slumped down near them in their Neurocaster helmets, bodies sort of piled up against each other. And there's a couple of kids tending to the people who are in their Neurocaster helmets, sponge bathing them, wiping away their shit and piss, and feeding them one stale tortilla chip at a time and one swig of soda at a time. Off the main intersection where these Neurocasters are, there's a little stall set up on a card table, covered in burned CD-ROMs and jewel cases with inkjet printed covers. Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, The Downward Spiral, Odelay, Post, music from back when Medea still had a bit of a pulse, still had traffic and diners and kids hanging out in parking lots. Some of the discs look to be games as well, cracked software, pirated operating systems, Windows 95, Sontra, AppleSource, Linux. The seller is a short, weathered looking person, like a California raisin made flesh, wearing a sun-faded starter jacket. But they barely look up as you sort of wheel your car down the street. Across from the stall is a war memorial from the Civil War, a slab of blackened stainless steel, which is making a hypocrite of whoever named that steel stainless. It's bullet-pocked. The dates and names are carved deep in the service. It says Second Civil War, 1975, and then a list of names. Someone's left a can of beer at its base, it would seem. Some of the names on the plaque are still readable as you sort of wheel your car past. Mark Jensen, Linda Vasquez, Doug Harrington, and the list goes on. At the end of Main Street is a big old restaurant, Cholo Chipmunk's Funhouse, or what's left of it. The sign is still up, though the animatronic mascot appears to be gone. The paint peeled back to reveal the bare mechanics underneath what once was presumably a waving sign of some kind. Looks like this used to be like a kids' destination restaurant, you know, like Chuck E. Cheese or Casa Bonita. Mexican themed, gangster themed. Signs faded on the side of it, proclaimed loudly that it has a grand arcade, cheap margaritas, and all kinds of attractions and animatronics for entertaining the kids. And it seems to have become the focus of whoever it is that remains in the town. This is the only place in the town that really has any kind of hustle and bustle to it. So there's quite a few people sort of hanging around it or sorting through junk outside. They got a bucket overturned, sitting down, picking through wrecked circuitry, picking out bits that look recoverable. It just looks like people trying to get by, except there are a couple of people with battered but operable looking shotguns kind of standing watch. Not unusual to see people armed, but it might make you a little bit antsy.
I could go get Cholo churros right now. Just go out about a block towards the train station from where I live. They sell them right there on the street. All right, so we came into town. We saw where all of the salvage was being centralized.
Yeah.
And then we came...
Yeah, so the junk seems to be being brought back either by hand or in the back of trucks or by drone to Cholo Chipmunk's Funhouse and into the parking lot.
Okay, so what was the first thing we came across? You described...
Like the Netrunner.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of abandoned houses.
Right. Right.
The only place there's any real activity is around Cholo Chipmunks.
Okay, so
that's off the main sort of crossroads that forms the center of the town, and also in the center there are these Neurocaster terminals with a bunch of people kind of slumped around them.
And that setup of having people lumped around them and kids caretaking, is that a common sight where we're from? Well, I mean, have I seen this before? Is this something they've been doing up north?
So you scavenge, and these are, that's your job, really.
Mm-hmm.
You've scavenged in places like this before. Usually when you find this kind of thing, it's happening inside houses, out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people. Occasionally you find like a withered husk of a body at the side of the road somewhere with the Neurocaster helmet still on. But this shit almost looks organized. It's actually... the kids are taking care of the adults. They're being kept alive. That's better than some shit you've seen.
I just look at my compatriots as I get out of the car after having reached into the glove compartment and stuffed that handgun into my pocket. Some shit. What the fuck? Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. You see that man selling those neurocast programs? That is the worst kind of death merchant demon that this new age has given birth to.
What? I'm talking about the people laying on the ground. I
Yeah,
could give a shit where they buy their shit from. When did people start doing this in the public?
oh, they've been doing stuff like this long before those neurocasts were a thing. This whole world wants to keep us tuned out, numbed, distracted, slaves in our own minds. Some of us just haven't figured out how to take off the neuro helmets that are inside of our skulls rather than the other side.
I take out one of my precious menthols, looking at him like he's an idiot. Take a nice hit, light up my cigarette, big draw, exhale in his general direction. Do you really believe your shit?
You know, I do believe that someday you'll believe it. We all will at some point. I have faith in that. But to answer your question, I haven't seen it quite this bad before.
So what is the pattern we're seeing here? We're seeing kids, we're seeing adults. They are not wasting away. How does the economy of this, like, so how does someone afford to be able to do something like that? Are they like holding a job through their neurocasters?
Probably just going on their savings. It's like an out of control drug addiction, really. They just prefer being on the inside, so they will let everything else go to hell.
All right, so you have to start somewhere. You must have some sort of resource.
Yeah.
So then, what's the point of keeping someone alive? All you want to do is milk them. If they're not earning any, there's something more going on here. Anyway, all right.
People can earn money through neurocasting, just like these days we make money through the internet. So it's possible, but that if someone's that far gone, odds are that's not what they're doing.
Watch out, Grim, because what I hear is content creators are on their way out with YouTube. So
we shall see.
Everything's changing. There's just been a major pivot. That's all.
Brian, you paying attention? You see those folks down there? Don't mess around with a neuro business.
Ryan is looking at these people, at these lost souls, these junkies, and with disgust, and unbidden, the words escape him. Just say no.
I wouldn't go that far. Just say no to the neuro stuff. We don't want to be narcs around here. Gives him a little wink.
So a couple of the guys from Charlo's Funhouse are sort of ambling over towards you now. One of them's cradling a shotgun, but he's not holding it at the ready to blast you or anything. The guy next to him has a sort of vaguely distant, smiling look on his face as they come towards you. To Mick, they remind you of other scavengers. You think that what they've probably got here is a fairly organized scavenger business.
Mm-hmm. So, barter or trade here? Can we move some items? Anything of interest? Anything you're looking for?
Yeah, well, we're taking shit. Anything of value. We'll take dollars too if you want to trade something. But we're going to put a caravan together and take it down to Bakersfield or something and see what we can make from it. But what brings you here? On a trip?
Yeah, our car broke down. We're just trying to hope to see if maybe there's some kind of mechanic, handyman, or someone that might be able to take a look.
Nothing's wrong with the car. It just won't start.
Well, we can take a look for you if you want. Have you got dollars or anything to trade?
Why would we want you to take a look?
Well, we've got people who it's their entire lives doing this stuff, so maybe we can figure out something you can't.
I'm confused. You say we, there's two of you.
Well, and everyone else.
I'm looking around. I don't see anybody else. I'm starting to get a little twitchy thinking about how many people could be somewhere around me that I'm not aware of.
There's about 50 of us, most of them working inside or out back in the parking lot behind the chipmunks. There's a few other hangers on around the town here and there, and the space cases at the Neurocasters. So there's a few people around. It just looks really empty because there used to be a lot more people here. But if you want some help and you can pay for it, you're welcome. We got the old kitchens working, so we got some hot food if you want something.
Ooh, I could go for that. You say we got a little bit of money. You guys take a look. We could go get some lunch. Be on our way in no time.
So what do you say? Says the guy. Do you want to hang out, do some trade? Do you want some guys to take a look at your car, or do you want to borrow a toolkit to have a proper look?
Yeah, how much are we talking? Just get a little diagnostic.
Well, we don't know what's wrong yet, but just check the thing over. $20.
That sounds about right. And, how's the food over there?
Yeah, it's okay. Nothing special. We don't have much meat, so it's mostly vegetarian, I'm afraid.
Oh, that is more than perfect. I think it'll beat the travel slop we've been having. What do you say, Rye Guy? Let's get some comida.
Sure, I guess.
All right, cool. Do you want a hand pushing your car over to the lot, or have you got it?
Much appreciated. A hand would be.
I suck down the last of my cigarette, flick the button, walk into Cholo
Chipmunk's Funhouse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the guy and the shotgun guy help you push the car. Mike steering this time, presumably. They're pretty strong, so they push the car into the lot. There's quite a lot of junked cars out here as well, and there's a guy in a welding mask with an angle grinder cutting up a couple of cars as well. There's people sort of squatting around, sorting out different bits of electronics. There's a bunch of engine blocks up on bricks as well, being poured over. These guys are organized. They seem to know what they're doing. Don't worry, says the guy. I'll let them know we're not to break up your car. And he pats it. And then you go to join Mick inside. So Mick has a little bit of time ahead of the rest of you. Let me give you a bit more of a description of the funhouse. Okay, so the sign still looms over the parking lot, sun faded and cracked. Its neon is long dead, and it depicts their mascot, their main mascot, Cholo Chipmunk. Once a grinning cartoon rodent in a low-slung bandana and sneakers, now stares blankly with half of his face peeled away by time and the weather to reveal the steel framework underneath. like a unholy crossover between Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Terminator. Below him is the slogan, Ven a jugar para siempre, come play forever, which still occasionally flickers with power. Inside, you can still see what it used to be. There's a whole bunch of murals of the various characters that they used to promote here, including a disturbingly sexy anthropomorphic chihuahua, which you can't quite understand why that's like that. It seems wrong. There was a ball pit. That's now been emptied out, but the balls are still around everywhere, scattered around, people occasionally kicking them out of the way. There were animatronic drone mascots, but those seem to have largely been broken down for parts, so there's only the metallic skeletons left. So inside, so as you come in, abandoned ticket booths and a prize counter. There's still a few cheap plastic toys and plush versions of the mascots, along with the weird murals. They've turned the dining area into a sort of combined sleeping area with cots and blankets, and they brought in some benches and things, so you can still eat there, but it's much more communal rather than individual booths or tables. There's a space that used to be a conventional arcade. There's still a few remnants of old arcade cabinets, but they mostly seem to have been hollowed out, stripped down, and taken apart. There's what was the ball pit and soft play area, which has been stripped out. And the pit is now full of various bits of industrial scrap. The kitchens are back there through a set of big double doors, and you can smell frying food inside and sort of convivial shouting of the communal kitchen. Untouched by the scavenging everywhere else, there are a bunch of Neurocaster booths, which seems to have at some point taken over from the arcade, mostly. But the helmets all seem to be still in working order, though they've been patched and so on. Some of them seem to be broken, but most of those still seem to be intact. A few people are plugged into the helmets, but they're not just slumped around. They're standing there and making gestures in the air as if they're operating something. There's some doors off to some other rooms, which are marked party rooms. Presumably this is where kids would be taken off for specific birthday celebrations.
That's not what I remember party rooms are for.
There's a stage, which is now abandoned, but there's a few boxes of junk and so on up there. There are stairs up to a second eating area, which just seems to be more cots and so on. And the stairway also seems to go down into a basement area, which is marked staff only. And there is a chain and padlock around the door going down to the basement. So Mick comes in first. A few of the people look over at you, smile, wave, seem fairly friendly as you amble in.
How many people? Like number?
In here right now, 25 to 30 people.
How many?
25 to 30 people.
I turn around and walk outside.
Okay. Walk in, get the lay of the land, figure out how many people there are, and turn around, walk back out.
There's too many people. I'm too uncomfortable.
Come in.
Yes,
I'm going to head out towards the car. These guys can go in.
Lose your appetite, Mick? Guess more.
It's crowded.
Oh, I hear that. Mike comes in, looks around. Oh, this place is a trip. And
you've probably been to similar places when you were a kid. But
Yeah. You know, you used to have these places all over back before. Is Mike from before the war? Is the war within his lifetime, or?
The Civil War started in 75. So,
And it's
yes,
95 now?
95 to 97-ish now.
Okay.
Yeah, so he must have been 20 when the. Yeah, there used to be all sorts of these before the war. Well, I remember the food sucked at these kinds of places, but let's see if they at least improved on that. We'll look for a food counter or menu or.
A big guy sat at one of the tables, laughs when you mention the food, and he turns his head towards you and says, "Yeah, that might be the only thing that's better now." Then he gets up, shakes you by the hand. Welcomes. You're here to get some food, but you're not staying, right? You're guests. You're not joining the crew or anything.
Nope, we're just passing through, coming in for
Okay.
lunch.
Well, just give us a couple of bucks each, and we'll sort you out with a plate.
Yep, we'll give him a couple bucks. Sit down.
He stuffs it in a jar on the side with a chow written on it in marker pen. And then he loads you up a couple of plates of various vegetarian dishes. You're not quite sure exactly where they're getting all the food from, but they seem to be getting it from somewhere. Presumably when they trade, they pick up sort of long-lasting ingredients. And it looks like they've been scavenging a bit from the land as well. So there's leaves and things you don't recognize, but none of them are dead, so it must be edible.
Sit down with my plate and start eating. Been eating mostly chips and crackers for the last couple of days. This will do some good.
Yeah. If you're down any hope, having a full proper meal can get you one hope back.
I don't think we're down any hope.
Okay. I think only Mick was, and he decided there were too many people. So.
I guess I'll make a little conversation with I'll ask the chef where they get their ingredients. There farmland nearby? We didn't see any coming in.
Yeah, there's a few garden plots out of town. There's a couple of farms that haven't gone completely wild yet. So, you know, we dig around, get what we can. If we want meat, you know, there's animals out there, but it's a bit of a waste of ammunition, you know. Otherwise, we just, whenever we do a junk trade, we get what we can, you know, keep going. It's probably a couple more months left in this place, and then we'll move on.
I wanted to ask all those people out there, you know, zombied up on those neuro what's-its. You know, I've heard of such a thing, but they're so bad. When did that start in this town? What's going on out there?
Same thing that's happening everywhere, you know. They're addictive. People would rather be in there than out here. You know, we've got to use them from time to time, you know, piloting drones and so on. It's the way of the future, I guess. But you just got to be careful with it, like any mind-altering substance or anything else. You know, everything in moderation, right?
I have a setting question. So, is this tool? I mean, obviously, it started as a tool. It became addictive. Are there still practical uses for it?
Yes. So it wasn't until one of the slightly more recent versions of the software that people really started having issues with it. Before then, it wasn't as useful. It was a little bit more of a novelty, but it had some practical uses. But it still has practical use. So people have to use it for work. It's ingrained into society in the same way, you know, the internet is for us in a lot of ways. So
Mhm.
even though there's problems with it, obvious, terrible problems for a lot of people, the company is Sontra is so powerful and basically owns the Pacifica government through its influence that there's nothing really to be done about it, at least not legally in any way. They're too powerful. It's too useful. People who succumb are blamed in the same way that drug addicts and other people are
Mhm.
blamed for their own misfortune. So yeah, it's very much
So
like
what
that.
would Nick like? What would it be? What would he like? Go, oh, I need to do this thing. What would be the thing that he would have to use it for?
So if you want to take control of a drone, and those can be anything from small little flying drones to big robotic devices that stomp around and do stuff. So you would use it for that. If you wanted to reference an electronic library of information, you would use it.
But so it's not quite as integrated as we are today, where
Not quite.
basically my entire life can be found on this piece of fucking electronics.
Yeah, it's a bit more localized than the internet in our time. So let me just double check through the information here. So using your Neurocaster, you can enter a neurographic network known as a neuroscape. So it's like a consensual collective hallucination.
Matrix.
Yeah. Inside a neuroscape, you can find information, use or hack systems linked to the neuroscape, such as drones, alarms, robotics, all that sort of thing. You can interact with other avatars inside the neuroscape on a non-physical but physical seeming basis. So it is like being embodied in the Matrix to an extent, but a bit more trippy.
So it sounds like it's more Neuromancer. What's the one that came out around the time that this 95?
Johnny Mnemonic?
No, I'm thinking of a different.
Snow Crash?
There we go. Yeah. So this sounds like Snow Crash, that level of, alternate reality, as it were, digital reality. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it takes an enormous amount of processing power and esoteric technology that most people don't understand to make it work. So it's, in some ways, it's more like a 1960s or 70s view of what like a world-spanning computer network would be, in that they always viewed it as a central core, and then you would terminal into it. Somewhere between that and our conception of the internet.
Okay, cool.
It's much more intuitive. So even if you're not a terribly good programmer or hacker, you can still do quite good things while you're in a neuroscape.
Cool. All right. Yep, I understand.
Well, I've never been one for moderation, but for those things, I agree. If I had the means, I'd tear a helmet off of each one of them, stick a tab of acid under their tongue, and, this town would become Metropolis in no time. But, I'm a dinosaur.
It's dangerous to just rip them off people. With our people, if they get a bit deep, we might do that. But with those guys, the shock might kill them,
Amen.
And hey, sometimes it's fun. Like I say, as long as you use it in moderation. We still got the old arcade neuroscapes on those machines at the back. If you want to, have a go, chill out. What about you, kid? Do you want to check it out?
Ryan looks across at these garishly painted boxes, and looks as if he's he sort of kicks back on his chair as if he's affecting a sort of nonchalance. He sort of sits back so that he's rocking back on the rear two legs of the chair. sort of as if he's giving it serious consideration, looks across the table at Michael.
Mike's giving a stern, kind of fatherly, don't do it look, but he's not his brother. He's not gonna say it out loud, but he's communicating it.
He bounces back and forth, Rocket pushing himself away from the table further and further onto the back legs. Until
Sounds like tension dice are rising here.
Yes, I think you can have an opportunity if either of you want to give the other an additional tension die.
Positive or negative? Yeah, I'll take one in respect of Michael. So I'm one with everybody now. Good.
You're at one with everything.
Exactly. Yes. And then he sort of almost. You don't. The only thing that gives it away is the sudden widening of his eyes, that he's just realised that he's about to tip himself over backwards. So probably only Michael can see this. As I say, just in his eyes of a sudden sort of panic, and so he rocks the chair back forward so it sits down onto its front, onto all four legs with a slightly too heavy thud. Ryan sort of looks down at the table, looks up, gives a sheepish grin, and then tries to pass this off as impudence and mockery. It's just like Jack says, and Ryan is this kind of irritating teenager who uses his parents' first names. It's just like Jack said, remember, Michael, just say no. But there's an underlying that, there's a degree of fear.
Well, I suppose so. And all right, guy, we're pretty far from the nearest hospital. I'd you keep four legs on the ground. So a little wink and takes another bite of lender.
Yeah, but the food's pretty good considering the odds are stacked against it. So, do you want to give it a try, kid, or not?
No, man, I'm cool.
All right, no pressure. Meanwhile, outside, Nick's gone to check on the car.
Yep.
The car is sat there, still laden down with all the household goods and suitcases and everything that you arrived with.
Excellent. So where are the mechanics? Do I see people actively working on cars?
Yeah, there's people breaking down cars and drones and so on. Looks like they've recently towed a fairly big husk of a rusted out drone, and they're sort of conversing with each other and figuring out how best to attack taking it apart.
But where are the guys that helped us get to this point?
Like, the guy with the shotgun has gone back to kind of watching over everything, and the other
guy with the grin on his face or whatever was going on with him.
Yeah, he's just hanging around outside with the other people out front while they're sorting stuff.
That's weird. So interesting. Because I just walked off, so I didn't see any of that exchange. So I don't know who should have been talking to who. I go to the guy with the grin on his face.
Yeah, he looks up at you. His grin broadens a bit more. Hey, Mick, wasn't it?
That's very good. Yeah, Mick.
Cool.
So who's the mechanic?
I mean, we're all mechanics to an extent, you know. But you want to talk to our best guy?
I thought somebody was gonna. Yeah, who was gonna work on the car? I mean, I'm looking around. I don't see like a big line of customers and people waiting to pick up their cars.
You know, We'll keep
I'm
busy,
curious.
but it's not like a clock in, clock out kind of business. Hey, Jack,
Right.
where's Misha? Okay. Yeah, I'll go get him. You wait by the car. I'll go get our guy.
All right.
Okay. So after a little while, he returns with another big muscular guy with him. The guy's got burns down one side of his body, which has a sort of permanent half scowl with one eye almost closed. And he's carrying a big, proper-looking toolkit.
I squint at him. I take out a cigarette and offer him a menthol.
He takes it.
Alexander, I take it.
Misha, you're Mick, yes?
I'm Mick.
Car has problem?
Not that I can tell.
Interesting. Okay. Open, please.
Open. Bring up the hood. I'm sure it's one of those massive, weighs fucking 50 pounds. It'll smash your skull in. Put a big, make sure it's well secured.
All right. Misha hulkingly bends over and looks inside. He's such a big guy, it kind of... You have
He takes up the whole thing.
Do anything. Yeah, he takes up the whole thing. Yes. I think I understand problem. Electrical fault. Many small electrical faults.
I
Can fix.
can fix.
Can fix.
I have a bag. I pull out my bag. And in my bag, there are some electrical goods.
Yeah, stuff you've been scavenging and nicking.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, I give him a little, lift up the bag with the contents a little so he can see it, give him a little shrug and a nod.
Yes. More than enough to cover fixing car. But take a little while. So,
Well,
you
yeah.
give bag?
Can't change the laws of physics, Captain.
Yes, very good. So you give bag. I fix. You stay, and friends stay and eat food and drink. And I'll also give you... Reaches into the back of his greasy coveralls, pulls out a fat wad of notes held together with several rubber bands, flicks through and offers you like $250 for the rest. Yes?
Das Pitania, as they say.
Very good. He presses the
Where's
notes
the
into your
vodka?
hand. Yeah, tequila inside.
Inside.
Yes. I will fix. You drink.
I will watch.
As you wish.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm uncomfortable with that many people inside a building.
Okay. Yeah, so while you're watching him, you also get to see the operation out here. They flag down a couple of the small drones and bring them in, and they use their cutting devices and so on to help rip into this bigger drone that they've dragged back here.
Do I see drone operators? Are there people with neuro things operating drones in this production?
You don't see them outside, but you did see people wearing Neurocaster helmets inside, so maybe they're operating the drones.
Okay.
All right. Meanwhile, inside, what else are you two getting up to once you finished your meal?
Probably telling boring stories to Ryan. Long stories of following different bands around. Road stories that don't really have much of a point to them, but are real fun for Mike to recall. Not
and for the first time since Mick has joined them, Ryan seems to be settling into his old, more appreciative attitude towards Michael. He sort of drops the sort of patronizing, and then what happened to Uncle Michael? He drops all of that. He seems genuinely, if he's not genuinely interested, he's hiding it very well. So yeah, he's quite content to let this little act of domesticity carry on.
Okay. So we're kind of a natural breakpoint. It's gonna
I was gonna say, yeah.
And it's gonna take overnight to fix the car. So let's take our 15-minute break there, and then we'll play on however long we feel like we want to keep playing on.
Coolio.
Sound good?
perfect.
Yep.
All right. We will see you all in about 15 minutes. And if you're watching and waiting, you might want to turn your sound down because I'm going to put some annoying music from the Cello Chipmunks Funhouse on in the background. So see you in about 15.
Órale raza, ven a comer en la casa del Chimón, pura fiesta es, hey. Tacos y churros, un montón de botana y margaritas bien baratas hay que ganar. Come on homies, bring your crew, a Cholo Chipmunks, there's fun for you. Tacos and churros, snacks galore, and cheap ass margaritas say no more. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, donde la fiesta nunca para. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, aquí la risa nunca acaba. Ven a jugar para siempre, homies. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, where the party never stops. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, where the fun never ends. No cops, come play forever, homies.
Si te sientes bravo, si tienes cora, prueba el reto del everything burrito, órale morra. Si lo terminas, eres el rey. Si no, te vas llorando, güey. If you're feeling tough, if you got the heart, take on the everything burrito, show you're smart. If you win, you're the king, get your name on the wall. If you lose, well, homie, better learn to crawl.
Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, donde la fiesta nunca para. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, aquí la risa nunca acaba. Ven a jugar para siempre, homies. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, where the party never stops. Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, where the fun never ends. No cops, come play forever, homies.
Así es, plebes. En Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse tienes tacos, juegos y pura pinche diversión. Trae a la jefa, al tío, al primo. Y si tienes hambre de verdad, el Everything Burrito Challenge te espera. Órale pues, nos vemos.
That's right, homies. At Cholo Chipmunks Funhouse, we got tacos, games, and straight up fun. Bring your mama, your uncle, your cousin, hell, bring 'em all. And if you got a real appetite, the Everything Burrito Challenge is waiting. See you there, vatos.
Grim. What are we gonna do?
Grim. That's how it looks.
I'll take Grim right now.
I am the Grim Reaper.
Bit grim.
The bosses are good. And make it grim.
A grim tale indeed.
It's a little grim. Meaningless and grim.
Mr. Grim!
It's Grim.
Pretty grim, huh?
Things look grim. Real grim. What are we gonna do?
Hola. All right.
Hola.
Hola, amigos. ¿Qué pasa?
Mantequilla, por favor. We're hitting the limits of my kitchen Spanish.
All right. You other guys here too?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Good, good. Pip, pip, tally ho, etc. Right. Putting up my notes again. Yeah, so you guys were sharing stories. Mick was outside watching the work get done on the car.
So as I'm there with Vladimir or Misha, or Alexander, Misha is short for Alexander, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Boris is short for everything.
That's funny. I always think of Boris the Blade.
Yeah.
So
sign of quality.
Oh man!
Stop taking the piss, Boris.
Yeah. So I, in my not talk about myself way, I'm going to ask questions of Misha over whatever period of time to just kind of get an understanding of where I am, what's going on, why they're here now, where they're going next. Is this blah, 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 blah.
Okay, let's see how much you get them to open up. Make an empathy roll.
Yeah, joy. 2 dice.
The good news is he's about as empathic as you are. So.
No. So what happens if I push something again?
So you can roll the dice again. On this second time, if you roll 1s, that's bad, but it gives you a chance to get 6s or extra 6s.
Right. And the bad is like
usually
hope.
A loss of hope. Yeah.
And I only have 1 hope left.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling all right. So I'm just going to become more test turn and, just see if he actually naturally opens up. Men tend to do that when they're working on cars and they start talking shit and telling stories and
shoulder to shoulder instead of face to face. Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't let much slip, but I will also let you make a wits roll.
Oh, joy. Another 2 dice. That's why I was curious about, because this guy's attributes are garbage, but he has 2 traits.
Yeah.
So
if your attributes are crap, you get an extra talent. So.
All right. So no, I'm too awkward.
Humans, not something you're good with. Yeah, you can't pick up much from him. Really, the people around you, they're a well-oiled machine. They know what they're doing when they're breaking stuff up, and they're good at it. Competent, clever, yeah. But as the light fades, Misha closes the hood of the car down, turns to you. As much as we can really do tonight. We should rest. Should only take a couple of hours in morning. Yes?
Yes.
Good.
Mm.
Let's go find that tequila.
All right. I'm more comfortable going in with a bunch of people now that I've spent time with Misha, just doing that, not talking male bonding thing.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys come in and join the others.
Oh, do I get tension with Misha now?
I think it's only with other player characters.
Mick, welcome in. The food's good. Get a plate, brother. How's the car look?
Still broke.
They think they can fix it?
Yes,
Tomorrow.
I fix.
Tomorrow? All right. You guys got any beds around here? Any rooms?
Yes, I have spare cots in main room, but you want to drink?
I won't say no to that.
Misha will get drink. He disappears and then returns with a couple of big catering-sized bottles of tequila with the optics still attached to them.
Yeah,
No worm, but still good.
We'll radio Jack and Taylor. Let them know we'll be a day late.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of interference. You'd think for a moment you'd hear their voices, but hopefully your message got through.
Yeah, they'll be fine. So
Richard
let's,
pours drinks for all of you. Yeah, boys of age, yes. Kidding, don't care.
Hey, he's
Boy's
old.
man now.
Drink. Put
Just
worms on your chest.
Don't tell your dad. I won't hear the end of it.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Welcome to the next step of being a man. Learning how to drink hard liquor.
So, yeah, Misha is going to do his level best to get drunk and to get you all drunk as well. Now, you can try to politely turn him down. You can try to keep up with him. Or maybe you've got some other plan of how you could deal with him constantly pushing tequila on you.
Well, my tried and true plan for avoiding that is what they call an Irish goodbye. And yeah, after the second, I just get up, excuse myself to the restroom, and don't come back.
Hide in the toilets. It's high school all over again.
Yeah, Mike's getting pretty drunk. He's gonna be not holding his ground for himself, but it's gonna be a real do as I say, not as I do towards Ryan. So as he's going drink for drink with this Russian guy, being like, ease up, kid. Maybe with less intelligibility as the night goes on.
And is Ryan going to get teenage shit-faced? Or...
Absolutely. and just to throw it in, since Mick slides out of there after only 2 drinks, Ryan is not inebriated enough not to notice this, and so he sort of looks over at Michael and says, What is it with Mick? I thought he was some big tough guy. Look at it. Where's he going? Look.
Dark energy, right, guy? Dark energy.
Dark energy. Asshole energy.
Root chakra energy. So can you two roll your strength, please, to handle your drink somewhat?
Strength
Okay, so that's no successes. I can never remember. They change the push mechanic every single fucking iteration of this game. Do you have to keep your ones when you push, so they carry over whatever happens?
Let me just check. I don't think so, but that is the rule in a different version, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, if you fail, don't get any sixes, or don't get enough sixes, you can choose to push a roll. Pick up all the dice that didn't roll a 1 or a 6. And
Yeah,
re-roll
so you
them.
keep your ones. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm losing hope, whatever happens here, basically.
Well, no, only if you roll it on your push dice.
Yeah, but you keep the 1, don't you?
Yeah, but the ones aren't on push dice. So
No, that's true. That's true. Right. So on the push dice, no sixes, no ones. So just a straight fail.
All right, you're bladdered.
I failed too.
Did you push it and fail as well? Or?
No, I didn't push it. Should I? Let me see. I have 3 hope.
You're just riding that buzz, having a good time.
Yeah. No push, just no success.
Okay, just give me a second to look something. Annoying. Sorry, I need to figure this out.
It's never a good sign.
Okay. So is Mick just hiding in the toilets all night? Are you going to sleep in the cubicle? What's the deal here? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, he sneaks out and goes and stays in the car.
Okay. You can out and sleep in the back of the car. All right. Several of the scavengers escort Mike and Ryan to cots and help sort of tuck them into sleep with a bucket nearby for Ryan. Right. Can you both make wits rolls with a penalty of -2 dice?
Fail, but no ones, not pushing.
Okay. What did Mike get? I think you get a single dice.
Oh yeah, I got a. I just did. Yeah, I got a 6 on a 1d6 roll. That last brain cell.
All right. So yeah, through your drunken haze of sleep, you sort of have one of those episodes where you stop breathing for a minute, and you sort of partially wake up, and you realize that people are pushing a Neurocaster helmet over your head.
Oh, yeah, I'll crash out. First say, yeah. What in the motherfuck are you fucking fucks doing to me? Get that shit away.
Right. So a big guy who isn't Misha is trying to sort of hold you down while someone else is trying to get the Neurocaster helmet on your head. So, and you're still drunk and half asleep. So let's make an opposed strength roll. All right. So make a strength roll. You're at -2 for being wankered on tequila.
Could I first scream real loudly, maybe enough that Ryan and Mick might hear some screaming?
We'll roll to see if they notice in a minute.
Okay.
For the good wits.
Let's see. No. All right, no success. This might be a push. If I push, it's just another 2d6.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I don't make it, it's a loss of hope.
Yeah. Well, if you get a 1 on any of those dice, that's a loss of hope.
Okay. And you can push whenever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll push. Or not. Yep, we got 6. Just one.
Okay. So did they, though. So you'd need to get 2 to beat them. So yeah, you strain and struggle and wriggle as only a drunk person can. And you're in a sort of standoff with them. So they're trying to hold you down and get this helmet over your head while you scream your head off.
That doesn't sound very calm, collected, yogi-like to me.
So they're trying to do the same thing to Ryan at the same time, but he doesn't wake up. So they get the helmet onto him. But can you make a wits roll for Ryan at -2 dice, please?
1 and a 4. It feels a bit meta-y to push a roll when you're unconscious, doesn't it? So I think I'll just leave that.
Okay. So they force the helmet over your head. Now, roll for Mick to hear the screaming and shouting from inside. But you are outside and closed in a car and asleep. So -1 dice to your wits.
Oh, boy.
One
one die. No.
No. Do you want to push it?
What happens when I have no hope?
You have a mental breakdown of some kind.
Sure. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Roll again.
6.
Yay! So you don't go crazy. You do wake up. You think you hear someone yelling? Sounds vaguely like Mike.
This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I'm ready for it.
What do you want to do?
I pull the handgun and I move into the back of the building.
Okay.
And I am going to carefully look around and try to rescue Matthew McConaughey.
That's a whole bunch of stuff. So
yep,
you
I know.
Up, you figure out what's going on, grab the gun, fumble the door open, sort of half fall out and scramble towards the back of the building.
Correct.
Meanwhile, inside, can I have another strength roll from Mike, please? Only -1 now because the adrenaline has kicked in.
All right. That's all right. We got 1.
They got 2. So, despite your struggling and the adrenaline starting to clear your head, they hold you down hard and push the helmet over your head. Right. So, Ryan first.
I couldn't. I mean, you just dictate what I couldn't push. It'd be too late for.
No, you can push now if you want.
Let me just do another push right now. I got a 6 and a 1.
Okay. So lose a point of hope. Does that mean you're up to 2 successes?
Yeah, because I got a 1 success before.
Yeah. So lose a point of hope, and you're managing to still hold them off somehow.
It's yoga. Yoga strength.
Karma, yoga. Yeah.
I'm still yelling, right? Still screaming my.
Yeah, you're still yelling and screaming your head off. Okay, but meanwhile, nonetheless. Right. Ryan, who probably thinks he's dreaming, your head fills with lights and sounds, and so,
what does being drunk do to your access and ability to this thing?
About to find out. Because he's drunk. All right. So, yeah, you see weird shifting patterns, almost like you've been staring into bright lights, or you've been pressing on your eyes when they're closed. And then you find yourself in Cello Chipmunk's Funhouse, but as it was in the past, like the ball pit is there, the animatronics are there, a chipmunk sort of waves at you and says, "Hola, ese." There's no kids in here, just the avatars, but the arcade is represented. Everything else is represented and looks shiny and new and bright and loud, and that fucking tune is playing over and over again. What do you want to do?
But the trouble is, Ryan is too young to remember this in this kind of incarnation.
Yeah.
Which means it's sort of there's very little. There are very few analogies one can draw, because it's a little bit like somebody, of our generation, almost sort of seeing an Atari work for the first, an Atari console work for the first time.
Hey, wait a minute, our generation, there, buddy. I remember in television. I was there.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I vividly remember, what was the tank game they had on the first Atari? The green rectilinear
tank
Pong. It was called. Don't know. It came out of the pack with asteroids and all the rest of it. Anyway, I vividly remember playing that at a friend's house when I was a kid. So it's not nostalgic for Ryan. It's actually genuinely surreal. He has no frame of reference for any of this stuff at all. And so he sort of, if he can move, if there's a sense of him moving, as it were, through space.
Yeah, you can see your own body. It looks a bit weirdly cartoonish, but it's there. It's real. You can see yourself.
He'll wander over to one of these kind of brightly glowing screens in a box, and just sort of be, because my sense of the setting is that it's pretty much kind of not exactly steampunky, but consumer electronics. There are no such things, or graphics are very rare.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Because all that kind of stuff is done in the Neurocasters now.
Yeah.
So the arcade games are very old school, and so the representations in the Neuro sim, those are also,
So he's looking at it, and he's probably looking at something like, I don't know, Joust or Pac-Man or something.
Yeah.
And is trying to figure out how it works. And he does what he sort of thinks people do in these things. Rather than putting a coin in the slot, he puts his finger on the screen and tries to make it guide the graphics around using his finger, and is puzzled as to why it doesn't respond, unless it does respond, I suppose.
Can you make an empathy roll, please?
Flat as is, yeah?
Yeah.
That is 1-6, no ones. Success.
Okay. Maybe it's the drink, maybe it's the annoying tune playing over and over again. But trying to figure out this game is giving you a bit of a thumping headache. Cholo Chipmunk sort of leans over your shoulder, watching you play. So, isn't it your birthday, Holmes?
Well, no, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. I got this now. I got this. He says, sort of almost trying to brush him away, sort of push him away from over his shoulder as he sort of fingers on the screen, sort of trying to. And now, without really realizing it, instead of trying to lead the graphics around, he's actually trying to follow it. So he's kind of playing this weird sort of sobriety check game where he's trying to keep up with this graphic zooming all over the screen. And he thinks he's winning because presumably, like, these old arcade games, they would play a dummy game, right? So the points are going
the demo
up.
loop. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's sitting there going, oh, okay, this is what I'm... Oh, your points are going... Oh, okay, right, cool, I'm into it now. Got it.
All right. Meanwhile, outside, Mick slips in through the back doors of the kitchen. You're amazed that everyone hasn't already died of dysentery. But other than that, it's a fully working kitchen. But no one's there at the moment because it's night. But you can hear the yelling and shouting and screaming coming from in the main room.
I check to make sure there's bullets in the handgun.
Okay, so you pause, drop the mag out, check. Yeah, it's full of bullets.
Okay. So I, as cautiously as I can, creep towards the sound of distress, prepared to put a motherfucker down.
Okay, so you quickly check the gun and then move up to the doors from the kitchen into the main room. It's got one of those round little windows, so you sort of peek up through it. You can see two people wrestling with Mike, trying to put a Neurocaster helmet on him. And Ryan has already had a Neurocaster helmet pushed over the top of his head. There's a couple of people sort of stood over him, keeping an eye on him. A few other people have woken up from their cots and are shouting to shut that guy up. So things are getting noisy and chaotic in there.
So I walk into the room where Mike is struggling and put the gun to the back of the first person's head and pull the trigger.
Next turn, because there's another turn of struggling with
Yep.
Mike first.
Cool.
So, can I have
Grim,
another...
I'm wondering, could I do an agility roll to like squirm away instead of fight? Just do a little yoga squirm out of bed through.
Yes, you can try that. Yeah, because your agility's higher, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, go for it. Change of tactics.
Yoga squirm. Enough fighting. Time to
Yoga
move like
fire.
water. I got 2 6s.
So did I for the baddies. So that's stalemate still, I'm afraid. So you twist over and try to wriggle free and sort of roll off the cot. But one of them grabs you by the leg and sort of hauls you back onto it. The blankets get tangled around you. It's a mess. All right.
Oh, actually, could I push?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You'll need one more success to get free.
Yeah. We got success.
Okay.
And we
In
got
that
a
case,
one. Yeah.
and you got a 1, so you lose a hope then.
Okay.
All right, so you managed to wriggle free. When they grab you, they grab the blankets that are tangled up around your legs. So when they pull them, you sort of spun round out of the blankets, and that gives you the extra speed to sort of scramble free. You can see they've got a helmet on Ryan, and it's all lit up and flickering with data. And as that happens, Mick comes through from the back. And you said you were going to march up and shoot one of the guys in the back of the head?
As I said, I am prepared to put a motherfucker down.
Okay. Are there any rules for sneak attacks or anything that I need to be aware of? Conflicts. Threats. New. Okay, so you're starting the fight proper. Okay. And then combat's normally done in sides. So, okay, let's try and do it by the book because it's kind of playtesting and seeing how games work. All right, so you march up behind one of the people who was struggling with Mike, put the gun up to the back of their head, and pull the trigger. There is a loud bang. Roll. What's the bonus for pistols? Well, it'll be agility.
Okay.
And
4 dice.
Handgun gives you 2 extra dice.
6 dice total.
Yeah. And you can have 2 bonus dice because they have no idea that you're behind them and putting a gun to their head.
1. There you go. 2. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Nice. Damage from attacks.
Ooh. Oh.
What does additional successes do for attacks?
I lined it up perfectly and took them both out.
Oops. Oh, ambushes. Blah, blah, blah. Is it +1 damage per success, or is damage from the gun multiplied?
Oh no!
I need to know. Okay, weapons. That doesn't actually tell me. Damage is 82 to 84.
I think in most year 0 engines, it's 1 additional damage for each additional success, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of intuitively, I was going to say that's what it feels like to me. Just looking at the stats, the health, the mechanics.
Yeah.
Where else have you played year 0? I'm not familiar with this.
I've played it. I played the Forbidden Lands version. I played the Alien version.
There's Walking Dead as well.
Yeah, I played that. Yeah.
And who puts it out?
Free League.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, same. Makes sense. Gotcha. Makes sense.
I
Evasion
kind of want
as
to
well.
be sure because I kind of want to be sure because it can make a difference. Multiple successes. In combat, that means more damage. Okay, but is it multiplier or added on? Not helpful.
President. It's the president. That was your comment about President Nixon or President Ford. You couldn't really be sure which one was actually shot.
Yeah. Aha. Okay, if the attack succeeds, inflicts the weapon's base damage plus 1 damage for each additional success beyond the first. Okay, so pistols do 2, and you got 3 additional successes. So that's 5, which would take out most people straight away. Where's the stats for the... Okay. Yeah. All right. After all that, Mick steps up behind one of the guys who's been wrestling with Mike and pulls the trigger. There is a deafening bang that kind of hits your ears more like a ring. And Mike is spattered with brains and skull fragments. And the body just drops like a puppet with its strings cut. Roll initiative. D6 plus your wits. Whoever's got the highest wits rolls for your side.
Well, I think that's Ryan. He's unconscious.
Yeah, assuming that I'm out of the picture.
Well, you're in. The
I see.
Nero
For the purposes of the
thing.
mechanic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for the purpose of the mechanic, I still need to know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my wits is 4, so I don't know
Okay.
how anybody else is. Yeah.
roll a d6 and add 4. Just 1d6 and add 4.
Oh, sorry.
to the
Right.
result.
1d6 and add 4. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is 7.
Okay. Your side is going first. We'll start with you because you're in the other world. So yeah, you're sort of stood in front of this arcade box, poking and prodding at it. Charlie Chipmunk elbows you on the side again and says, "Hey, Esther, it's your birthday, yes?"
Turn around and look at him for a brief second. From somewhere in the kitchen, there's a loud bang of lots of pots and pans falling over or something, which Ryan just sort of half pays attention to, and then focuses back on this fellow. My birthday. Looks around a bit confused for a second. Where's Dad? Birthday. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do I get a cupcake?
You get a hot cake and a pizza and a burrito. Come with me to the party room.
Awesome. Cool.
He takes you by the hand and tries to lead you to the party room.
Doesn't need to try. I'm all in for this.
All right, cool. Meanwhile, so no one's had a chance to react yet, but Mick and Mike can take their turns. What do you guys want to do? You get 1 action per turn, I believe.
Why shoot the next guy?
Does ripping a helmet off of someone when they're in it like hurt them or only if they're long?
Yes, it causes the loss of a hope point, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not thinking about that. I'll just run over and try to save my nephew. Tear that helmet off.
Okay, so the people around him will try to stop you. So, can you make a strength roll to overpower them and get them free?
Could I agility this one? Kind of judo my way.
Yeah, you've been playing that up, so sure. Okay, they got no successes, so you need a success.
1 success.
Okay.
Who was the Indian guy on Street Fighter? The yoga guy?
Oh, I know. Dalsim,
yes.
Yeah.
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
Yeah, this is
Annoyingly punch you from the other side of the screen.
That's my favorite one right there.
Breaks and do a little juke. Do a little to the right, then to the left. break some ankles.
Okay, so when it's your turn, you get one move and one action, or two moves. So you move to where Brian is, slip past the people, and rip the helmet off his head. So, right, Brian, inside the simulation, Cholo Chipmunk pushes open the door to the birthday room, and you briefly get a glimpse of something black and cancerous and horrendous sort of squatting and lurking in there. It reaches out for you with nightmarish tentacles, and then the helmet is ripped off your head. Lose a point of hope.
Right. And a 3.
Yeah. So you're fine, but it's a bit of a shock. But you can start taking actions from next turn.
All right.
Okay. And then Mick was going to shoot another guy.
I shoot the guy that was right next to the first guy I shot.
So the other guy who was
trying to hold down Mike and put this horrible thing on his head.
Okay. Ranged combat.
I should be at point blank range.
Yeah. Roll agility. The pistol gives you 2 extra dice.
Mm-hmm.
The target can choose to stand tall and take the hit or dodge. They're going to dodge because they're aware of you this time. So they get to make an agility roll.
All right. And so there's no range modifiers.
Range is very vague. So
gotcha. Okay.
Realize
so that's
realize we have a real Walter Dude Donnie dynamic here.
So that's 3 successes.
3 successes. Okay. You're getting a lot of successes for a year 0 engine game. It'll come back to get you in the end.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah, he got 1 success to dodge. So you got 3 successes, yeah?
Correct.
So that drops it to 2, so you do 3 points of damage to him. Okay. The second shot wings this guy as he sort of throws himself flat behind the cot, but you see the bullet smack into his shoulder meat and tear off a chunk of it. The other guy is just laying on the floor, leaking brain matter and blood all over the floor. Do you want to move?
Welcome to the next lesson of manhood, Ryan.
Fuck this, going back to kindergarten. All right, so all of you have had your goes. Most of the people scream and run for cover.
Rules quick. So I didn't move. All I did this time was shoot. Do I still have a move left? So like I will be able to dodge if I'm attacked.
Yeah. So yeah, most of the other people in the room duck and dive for cover in all directions. Most of them aren't armed with anything, and the gun going off tends to induce panic. One guy, if I can find his sheet. Yeah. One guy does quickly retrieve his shotgun, but he's not able to fire yet. Yeah, when you dodge, you forfeit your next turn's action. So that's what happens when you dodge. So you know. All right. No one else is trying to interfere with any of you, so it's your guys' turn. I think Mick probably has the most initiative, sort of grasp of the situation. So what does Mick want to do?
I'm going to shoot the guy that picked up the gun.
Okay. So you whirl around, level the gun at him. He doesn't dodge. He stands there while he brings
Stand
the
and
gun up.
take it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
agility plus 2 bonus dice.
1 success.
Okay. So that's going to hit him for 2 damage. Unless you want to push it.
That's re-roll the rest of them.
Reroll anything that didn't get a 6 or a 1.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, what I'm gonna do. I did roll 1-1, so I only have 4.
Okay.
And no.
No. Did you get any 1s that time?
Nope. But I did not get a 6 either. Shit.
All right. So you fire anyway. It wings him, twisting round. You move the gun too far across, and it just barely creases the tip of his ear. Put him off a bit. Right.
How long are you going to use that one for?
And Mike, what's he doing?
So is the guy with the gun between us and the exit?
No, he's back further in the room.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of grab Ryan off the table and maybe give a great big smile to Mick, like, hey, you're here. Like, am I glad to see you? And then flee the premise.
Okay, so just grab Ryan off the table and try and lead him out.
Yeah, try to get out of here.
I will resist that.
Okay.
On the presumption that this meat space is recognizably the dream space that I was just in some form or other.
Just grimier.
So I will be heading to the birthday room, the party room, the function room.
Okay, can both of you roll your strength? Do either of you have tension with each other?
Yes.
I
I certainly have it with Michael, yes.
Whatever tension Mike has with Ryan counts as bonus dice. Whatever tension Ryan has with Mike the other way counts as tension dice for him. So there's a bonus dice when you make your strength roll.
Okay.
I got no success.
No, I didn't get any successes either, even with a push. So
okay. So you kind of stalemate with each other. Mike grabs Ryan's arm. Ryan pulls against him, and despite bullets flying in all directions, you both sort of pulling each other back and forth.
Can I do another action to like snap Ryan out of it?
Well, you used your action to kind of grab him and pull him off the cot.
Okay.
And then to try and move, and then you got stuck.
Got it.
So, right. So, there you go. Most of them still diving for cover. The guy with the shotgun brings it up and takes aim at Mick.
I dodge.
You dodge. Okay, so you forfeit your action next turn. And make an agility roll to dodge.
All right. I have agility of 4. And I got 3 successes.
Okay. And he got 2 successes. Sorry, he misses. Right, there's a loud boom and a whole bunch of shot goes wide as you throw yourself to the side and splinters a bunch of the chipboard that's over the windows. And then there's a loud ka-chunk as he racks another shell into the shotgun. All right. Your ears are ringing, but you think you can hear more shouts outside now. So you guys' turn. Mick is still, I think, the fastest, but you forfeited your action to dodge. So that's all you can really do other than move. Do you wish to move?
Yeah, I'm going to move towards the best cover closest to the exit.
Okay. So there's the entry booths where people used to get tickets and so on. So yeah, you sort of dodge, lurch, the shot flies past you, and you dive into cover in one of those.
Cool.
Right.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Do we don't presumably have to invoke the tension?
No.
Okay. So I am going to keep trying to head for the function room door, but presuming that Michael is sort of shouting at me and pulling me in the opposite direction, it rather handily means that I can use this to say, well, actually, that point of tension was acquired by Ryan kind of drifting back towards Michael's view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to be less inclined to resist Michael's persuasion. So I'm not going to apply my point of tension, but Michael can apply his, presumably, to give him a greater chance.
And I would say, so you can reduce your tension with Mike by 1 and put your hope up by 1.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
So I
and then both roll again. So you just roll your strength, and Mike rolls strength plus tension.
Could I just try to? Well, let's see. Do I have higher? No, I have higher strength and empathy. I was thinking of just something that could bring him back. But I guess as I pull, I'll just say, Rye guy, just say no. I told you, just say no.
Yep. You
So I got a question real quick. Since I dropped that guy in one shot, did that give me a boost in hope?
No. Mass murder, not so much.
All right.
Let's see.
In fact, I'm supposed to penalize you by taking away hope for things like that, but I figure in the moment, in the situation, it doesn't make sense to, so I'm not gonna.
We got three successes.
Absolutely no successes and 2 1s, no push.
Okay, so you basically get yanked off your feet and dragged to the door.
We're not gonna go out the door at this point. I can hear the shouting. Just kind of group up next to Mick and behind.
Okay, so you all pile into the ticket booth, which is really only big enough for like one teller to work when it was in operation. So you're all kind of crammed in on top of each other, but it does at least provide you cover. So there's that. All right. So there you go. The guy with the shotgun walks slowly towards the ticket booth where you're all hidden and fires. Right. Just by pure chance, if it hits, it's going to hit Mike. Do you wish to try and dodge, or do you want to rely on the cover?
Okay. My dodge is pretty good. I just don't know how much the cover is gonna do.
The cover will give you 2 extra dice if you dodge, and it'll take 2 away from his attack roll if you don't dodge.
So I'll dodge.
Okay. All right. So roll your agility with 2 bonus dice.
That's 2 successes.
Okay. And he got none. So yeah, the shotgun blasts out again. Heavy shot, buckshot smashes into the booth around you. But the plexiglass that much of the booth is made of was meant to stop gunshots, because this is America, and to stop people mugging the tellers inside. So yeah, the plexiglass kind of craters and flakes off a bit on the surface, but none of the shot manages to get through. Yeah, you're still hearing more shouts and so on outside. Your turn. Starting with Mick. You have actions again now.
Yeah, I am now going to pop out of the box over to the doorway, keep cover, and shoot the guy with the shotgun.
The shotgun. Okay. He is just going to continue to walk towards you because he wants to try and kill you. So just make your attack roll.
I have a mutual feeling about the killing. One success.
Okay, he's not dodging, so that's enough to hit. That does 2 damage, which is enough to drop him, but probably not to kill him. So yeah, you sort of scramble out of the booth, get over to the door, bring the pistol up sideways, gangster style, and fire off a round. The bullet hits him in the stomach. He doubles over, starts screaming, and falls into a heap around himself.
Yes. And I yell at Mike and Ryan, get out of there. Let's move.
All right. And what do you two want to do?
Did he drop the shotgun?
He did drop the shotgun, but it's by him. So you'd have to run over there, get it, run back.
Would that be agility?
You don't need to roll. Be your move and your action to get there and pick it up.
Okay. Yeah. I'll pick up the shotgun.
All right. So you dash over and grab the shotgun.
What are you doing?
And what's Ryan doing?
Ryan, get up. Mick's voice kind of cuts through all of this, the imperative of it. So Ryan will actually move to get as far as the door, the exit, but rather than using his action to actually push through it or open it and get out, he actually at that point hesitates because he can see Michael out exposed in the open doing something, whatever the fuck, and he can also see over Michael's shoulder that bloody door, that hypnotically terrifying door. And so he basically just freezes in the doorway.
Okay. So you move towards the door and then freeze as you see the birthday room door at the other end. Right. They've all kind of scrambled for cover or hidden, so they don't do anything. The guys outside are getting ready to do whatever it is that they're going to do, so it's your turn again. Mick.
I now look outside of the room that we're escaping from.
Okay, so looking out the front through the slight slits they've left in the windows where they've boarded them up a bit, you can see several of the wrecking crew outside. A couple of them have shotguns, but you recognize enough of them that you think if you went out the back now, you'd have a better chance of getting away and there wouldn't be any guns there.
Follow me. That's the plan I execute.
Okay, so you cross the room quickly, heading for the kitchen doors and the way out back. Mike?
Yeah, I'll first, I'll chastise Ryan. I'll say, damn it, Ryan. Just say no. And maybe even, kind of give him a hand yank as I run after Mick.
Okay.
Following.
And is Ryan following this time or resisting?
No, he's going to follow, but he's going to because initially when he was first kind of jerked out of this computer-generated reverie, he wasn't quite sure what his memory was. It was all kind of a bit jumbled up. He knew there was something behind that door, but it's only now that he's had a few seconds to kind of put it together that he realizes that what's behind that door is awful, appalling. And so he will make his way towards the kitchen doors, but he'll do it circuitously to make sure he doesn't go anywhere near that birthday room door.
Okay. So there's nothing really to stop you getting out the back. Are you all available to play next week?
100%.
Yes.
It would have to be at a different time. Yeah. That can I get in or are you just trying to determine whether you want to finish now?
Well, I'm still a little unwell and have been this weekend, so I don't think I've got the oomph in me to go for another hour.
Yeah.
So I would like to pick up next week if we can.
Let me just check my work schedule for next week. 1 moment, sorry. This was 3.
I mean, if you can't, you can always just kill off your character for dramatic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, yeah, I wouldn't be free until 5 EST.
Okay.
Probably crazy late.
So that would be
11?
10 p.m., wouldn't it?
10, 11, yeah.
The EST's 5-hour difference.
Right.
I mean, if we're still going, you'd be welcome to join us late if you want.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. In that case, then, yeah, because I still feel a bit peaky, and it's been a really exhausting couple of weeks. With you escaping out the back, we'll draw a close to it there.
Right.
Cool.
And we'll save talking about the system and stuff till after the next session next week. And if we get any extra players, they can pick up the couple of spare characters, because it would make good sense for them to turn up just as a gunfight's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody who's out there. Somewhere north of 50 people across all platforms were watching, which was nice. Sorry it's cut short, but health and stuff is what it is, and we're all about presenting the game as it is actually played, with all the halting and rules looking up and digressions and everything else. But if you want to see how this all turns out, what happens to everybody, what the terrible secret of Cholo Chipmunk's Funhouse is, tune in next week, roughly the same sort of time. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.